All right, guys, time for Never Too Personal. If you want to be a part of the show, twopersonalpodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us an email with your stories, or if you want advice on something. We do love hearing your stories, though. And you can also DM us or send us a message on Instagram or any of our socials at Two Personal Show. So today's question is, how do you handle financial conversations with family, friends, partners, etc.? So I did not come from money, contrary to what the internet says. The internet says a lot of things that are incredibly inaccurate about me, but me coming from money is one of them. My brother was drafted to the NFL in the third round in 1997. I don't want to do a whole sports history here, but that's not it's not a $400 million contract for your rookie year. He actually wasn't even sure if he was going to stay on the team because he was doing Jimmy Johnson two-a-days in the Miami Heat. Not for the Miami Heat, for the Miami Dolphins outside in the heat of Miami. So, yes, my brother had money. I'm not going to get into the family dynamics of it because it's not entirely all my story to tell. If it was, I would let you know. But the long and short of it is I did not grow up with money. I grew up seeing, obviously, my brother have great success at a pretty young age. And those access points obviously changed my perspective on what is possible. Obviously, I wasn't going to be 6'6", 240 and play in the NFL, but I think anytime you have any experience with someone who has a lot of money or who has money that is not, traditional to where you grew up or your family status, it changes your perspective on how people behave, what people expect from them, what you expect from them, how they handle their money. But I didn't grow up with any kind of financial background. My father did not have money. My mother did not have money. Their families didn't have money. I did not understand credit. I did not understand the stock market. I did not understand bank accounts. They didn't teach any of that in school. So for the most part, what I've learned about finance has been through being completely broke, having money, figuring out how to get a credit card, figuring out how to pay for a gallon of gas with the change in my car, every different perspective and experience on finances. And I'm in a good place, in a decent understanding, and obviously still learning. So everyone has a different financial journey. Some people are raised by parents who have a really good understanding of money and have conversations with them at a young age, and they understand real estate and they understand investing, and even if they don't have a lot of money. So there's a whole range of how your relationship with money is formed, how you treat financial conversations, what your relationship with money and other people is, and everyone has different sensitivities. So when it comes to financial conversations, I totally get how it's hard for people to have them. It's uncomfortable. You don't really want to ask people how much they make. You don't want to ask people how much debt they're in. You don't want to ask any conversation that makes people feel vulnerable. And money is something that makes people feel extremely vulnerable most of the time, unless you're post-economic, which is a whole different kind of conversation about money. Because then you're signing prenup on prenup on prenup. I'm on a very person-to-person basis when it comes to conversations about money. I don't think everyone should know everything about your financial situation because you just simply cannot trust everybody. And I don't think it's necessary for everyone to know. I think people will have a general idea of how you're doing in life based on how you move around, the things you do, the things you have. So for family, that's family and relationships, I think, are the two hardest financial conversations to have. Friends can make things uncomfortable enough that it makes it almost easy to cut that relationship off, because not that friends are replaceable, but hopefully you have more than one friends, and if they act weird about money, it kind of makes it easy for you to remove them from your life. Family and relationships are a bit harder. I would say relationships are the second hardest, because similarly, like if you're not too far in, if people start acting crazy about money, you have decisions to make. With family, I think boundaries are the most applicable when it comes to that. When people ask you for money, when people expect money, when people don't respect your money, that can make things very uncomfortable, and it can really change the dynamic of relationships when it comes to money. So I don't really have a blanket policy for everyone because I think that each situation's different. Like if you're about to get married to someone, you should have very transparent conversations about money. You should know what your relationship is to money, what their relationship is to money, what they want to do with their money, how much money they want to make, how much money they want to save, what do they like to spend money on, how often do they go on shopping sprees, what kind of, savings accounts do they have? Do they have a 401k? Do they believe in banks? Like, are they hiding crypto? You need to know everything that your partner, if you are getting married, everything that has to do with their relationship and ideas on money before you get married. That is advice that I would give to everyone. It's very important. And hopefully you have been observing them to see that what they're saying matches how they behave in that way as well, because that is something that can really rip a family and relationship apart if you don't have the conversations early. Friends, I think it's pretty simple. Like, just have a limit for what you share with them. Be strategic about how you share your wins. Know who to share your wins with and who not to. Some people they're not naturally celebratory people, and it can strike a bit of envy that's unnecessary. Now, granted, I don't know that you always want to be friends with people like that, but sometimes, they've been your friend for 20 years and you got to know who people are, don't tell them you got the deal, but maybe not give them the details, that's kind of how that goes. You have to know your personnel, right? We're using a lot of sports references today. Know your personnel. It's important to do that. And with family, I think the boundaries are pretty simple. Like, sometimes you're going to have to help family, but how, why, when, how often, what's the long-term goal here? Like, I'm always going to take care of my mother, and that's what it is. I have the ability to take care of my mother, and I want to take care of my mother, and so I'm going to take care of my mother. I am not, however, going to fund everyone's life. Like, that's just not you have the capacity to go earn money. You're going to go need to do that. Now, if something happens and there's an emergency, we can have that conversation, but we are going to have it respectfully. We're going to have an understanding on, is this a loan or am I giving you this? Are you actually using this for this purpose? I better not pop on your IG and see you in Vegas. Like, those type of conversations need to be had. And I think there's like a shame attached to money when you need it, because I've experienced this a lot. And now that I'm older and not in that situation, I have like mixed feelings about if I should have had shame or not. I think sometimes you need help. Like, we are in really tough economic times. People are struggling. People are working 3 or 4 jobs and still not being able to pay for everything. Everything is so expensive. If you have kids, God bless you. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. I almost said these little motherfuckers. These little motherfuckers is expensive. Okay? It is expensive as fuck to raise a kid. So I know it. I know it is hard out here in these streets, and we know who is responsible. So yeah, I mean, that's a very long-winded way of saying you got to figure that out on your own. But I think money is something that is a literal case-by-case basis. You can have somebody who's constantly hitting you up for money and be like, why do you never have any money? Like, do you work? What are you spending your money on? And then you can have somebody come to you for money and you're like, wow, you always have your shit together. Your bills are always paid. You always live within your means. I'm happy to help you. I know you really need this right now. And like, you actually don't have to pay me back. Like, I'm happy. I can't help you. It is nothing to me. I want to help you. There's nothing attached to this. There is an absolute case-by-case, person-to-person basis when it comes to that. But I do think boundaries are something that are super important when it comes to finances. And you should have a real conversation with yourself about what your relationship is to money and what your boundaries are. And if you want a real, approachable and authentic way to learn about money and develop your relationship with money, I do think that Rashad and Troy at Earn Your Leisure do an excellent job of having real, transparent conversations about money. They're very authentic and approachable. You can get their book. The book is very helpful as well. You deserve to be rich. And I think like start small. It doesn't always have to be this huge thing that you automatically overnight a millionaire. Like if you're like me and you don't have any education in finances and your parents didn't teach you anything about finances and nobody like held your hand to explain any of this to you, you shouldn't overwhelm yourself. But money is important. It's important to all of us. It does make the world go round, and your boundaries and relationship with it should be as healthy as possible. So thanks for the question. If you want to be a part of the show, twopersonalpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on social at twopersonalshow and twopersonalshow, and make sure that you hit subscribe. Thanks, guys.